Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today I have the privilege of being in conversation with a self-taught painter, artist who is originally from and is currently based in Fort Myers, Florida. Please welcome Jade Griffin. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey everybody, my name's Jade. I'm 22, self-taught, and I'm really just here to show the world what I do.
So I mean, you started off with the introduction. I dig it. Welcome here. So let's talk about early on because, like you said, you're 22, so you're a young artist. Been doing. How long have you been in it? Been doing like art, what have you?
Art is just something that's always just been a part of my life since I was a child. It's just one of those things that just really made my eyes light up as a kid. So that's just something that always just kept me inspired, kept me excited, kept me in my emotions to just feel. And, at an early age, I noticed that it moved me in a way that nothing else has ever done, like playing tag, going outside. That's something, growing up that we always done. But when I really got connected to art, that's something that's always stuck with me because it put me in a place where it allowed me to feel from a different space and then feel from a different perspective. So I've been doing it since I was like a kid, since I was like in like elementary school, like type of thing. Like I still got papers. I still got papers of me writing down like I wanted to be an artist. Like it's one of the things that I knew I wanted to do. Like I stopped for a couple of years, but I picked it back up recently, like 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's funny when like I started like I go back to one of my early art experiences, and I always try to look back at what was that first one that comes to mind. And for me, it always goes back either to cartoons or comic books and things that were like handed down. In my earlier art experiences, it was me drawing and sketching and coloring, drawing my own comic book, what have you. And even I think I was part of this like community mural that we were working on. And the reason I remember this mural because I got in trouble because as you can see, I'm wearing glasses and I got paint all over my glasses when I was a kid. And having Black parents, well, having any parents at that, they were like, look, you're going to have paint in your glasses. That's what we're doing now. So good luck with that. Enjoy your art.
Like for real, especially doing something you're not supposed to be doing. Yeah, they on your ass.
But I think that the cool thing is they always supported it as well. It's like they may not have gotten it or what I was doing, but they did their best to support it. And that, okay, hey, you need color pencils, you need books on this stuff and things of that nature. So in terms of like your like early artwork and then kind of moving and returning back to it, what kind of support was there for you and how did that play a role in your early development as an artist and where you're at now as an artist?
Definitely. I can definitely say that, the saying that my parents, they they are supportive, they aren't, knowing of exactly, but if I needed something and they see that I'm very good at something, they're going to try to make sure I go in that direction and make sure I get everything that I need. Especially with my dad, he got me my first sketchbook and I still have it to this day. And with my signature that I kept since then all the way up until now, because back then, even then, they aren't teaching cursive nowadays. And back when I was still in school, they were, and that's when I made my first signature. And I still use that too. And because I stopped for a while, I kind of like convinced myself that art wasn't like a real thing. I convinced myself because, especially growing up, you don't see that. You don't see people doing art. So it was just one of those things like, damn, this is something, I guess it's not really like a real thing unless you actually famous and doing it. Not knowing that I can actually create that reality for myself. It's actually possible. And just years passed by and it's one of those things that's in the back of your mind. Like, you're supposed to be doing it, but you kind of scared or you don't know if it's the right thing, but it's always going to be the right thing if it's been in your mind for years. You just have to take that leap and just do it. So it was just one of those things where like by the time I did my first semester in college, I was like, what am I even doing here? This is not even what I want to do. like I was just taking just regular academic courses before I actually got into the courses that dealt with what I wanted to do. And even then I was all over the place.
Hmm.
So by that time I was like, all right, if I'm not going to do art, at least let me do something creative. At least let me do something that allows me to be creative and travel.
Yeah.
Let me do photography or something. Nope, I wanted to paint. I wanted to be an artist. That's specifically something that I've always wanted to do and set out to do. Like I just had to really get over everything and listen to myself and listen to my intuition. And
Yeah.
ever since my first semester, around 2, 3, 4 years ago, finished that semester, and the pandemic first happened, and that's what really just took me to the edge, and I leaped.
Yeah.
And when I started selling works and doing commissions, my dad, he got me my first $20 easel that broke. So the support is always, it's just
Yeah.
been there,
So
you know.
that time when, and I think a lot of things with the pandemic, right? I think
Mhm.
it helped people slow down and really look at what matters to them and what they want to do. And then looking at that timeline, it's just like, I know that this podcast took off like a lot during that time. I saw a lot of people start businesses and things of that nature. But I think that the basis of why we're doing something or what we plan to do was already there.
Mhm.
And I think having that time, that newfound time, we're inside, in the beginning, and
Yep.
you got time to kind of do things and figure things out. So, let's talk about your work a little bit. Could you
Mhm.
describe your artistic style and what movements or artists are influences for you?
Definitely. I can first say Logan Silv on Instagram. I don't even know if I'm saying his last name right, but Logan Silv, otherwise known as Lil Black Goat on Instagram. I can say Gianni Lee. I post him a lot, and Blue the Great. I post him a lot as well, and George Condo for sure. Those four inspire me because it's very particular. It's very specific to them, and nobody can create what they're creating, and nobody can do what they're doing. So on top of that, Gianni and Blue, not only that they make art, but they DJ and do photography. Especially with Johnny Lee, he makes clothes out of his art. He does DJing, photography, just a lot of different things that I really just aspire to really just get the ball rolling and just always stay busy with my work. And I push my work further along into the community for sure. Like those ways, they definitely inspire me. But the most I can say George Condo inspires me a lot with the looseness of his work. It's very particular, but it's also very loose. And I can say it definitely inspires me to the point now where I'll create a lot of work in a free flowing state where I'm creating just loose gestures and creating something out of that. So I
Yeah.
can definitely, yeah.
As you're saying it, I'm looking up people. I was like, oh, George Condo. Oh, look at that. Look what we got there. I like it. I like it.
That's funny.
So tell me about some of the themes. Like, you have those influences that, have that looseness, but that kind of like very uniqueness to it. And I think that that's reflected in your work. And there's obviously there's some black stuff baked into there. That lived experience. There is other themes that are baked into it. So what are the themes that you're pursuing in your work? And what feelings are you trying to express in your work as well?
I would just say my work definitely reflects my personality on the inside. it's one of those things. If you know me, then you know the type of work that I put. I would describe my work is to be it's slightly a bit chaotic in a way, but also very controlled and slightly a bit chaotic, a bit humorous, and definitely it's a lot of Black work, a lot of culture, because that is what mainly inspires my work. The things that I see in my town, in my community, and the things that I lived through and experienced. I I feel like those are the main things that move me. Those are the things that have to move me when I create. So I would say Black culture, stereotypes for sure, stereotypes that are put onto Black culture, and also being a part of the LGBT community for sure. I like to just frameworks in a way that has like humor and irony and a bit of chaoticness in it.
Yeah. There's some street art in there, fair to say.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely say that for sure.
I see that
Yeah.
aesthetic in there.
Yeah.
So I always ask this question, especially of painters, because I want to get an idea of like, what does color represent for you? So I'm going to frame it this way. What are three colors that are usually in your palette? And I know one of them is brown. You're like brown, other brown, and brown number two. But what are, what are the three most used colors in your palette? And of those colors, what do they represent for you?
Brown number three. No, I'm just playing. No, definitely. Recently, I can say a lot of blues, different hues of blues, a lot of pinks as well recently. And color for me, especially like vibrant color. I know that I do use a lot of vibrant color, and color to me it translates to emotion and it translates to a story. So I definitely use a lot of white when I create these clouds, these dust clouds I create that transpires a lot of emotion in it.
Mhm.
So pink, blues, and there's just something about pink and blue. There's like this common notion behind pink and blue being pink is for, girls and pink is
Yes.
pink for boys. And I just really just like to use those colors to really just to push the boundaries of what color means to people. And
Yeah.
not just those colors, but I love all color. But recently that's what definitely I've been using a lot of blues and pinks and white.
And those are the colors within the trans flag as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the pink and blue specifically, depending on the shade of blue, those are the colors within cotton candy to make it really fat and tasty.
Exactly. And that's why we use pink and blue.
So you just have a brown person like having cotton candy in their hands. That's just what the next piece is going to be. Just throwing out ideas for you.
Exactly.
So in going back to like having an interest in art and trying art, cultivating art over for a better part more than a decade at this point, because you were talking about it as a kid. Think back to like one of those really early experiences, like when you like drew something and you have your sketchbook around, and as you're where you're at now with having like a process in place, like how would you say your process has changed over time, and how do you go about it? Like walk us through your process when you're working on either commission work or just you're like, look, I'm going to do a new piece. Tell me about that.
Definitely. When I was a kid, everything was definitely simple. And like I can remember when I was working on this piece when I was a kid, and I was sitting in art class at my table at my designated seat, and I was just working on this one sheeter piece where I was just drawing just eyes. Like that's something that I really love to draw a lot, was eyes and different facial expressions, just all on one sheet. And then after I finished it, I was so proud of it. And I showed my teacher, and my teacher was like, that's amazing. And I was like, that's when I knew then. I was like, I want to be an artist. And and even then until now, like I still have that I still have that wow factor when I'm creating something, or when I get a new idea to add a new element into my piece, or to experiment, or to even add like, or to try out new and different concepts, something out of the usual for myself that fits into what I'm doing. It just gives me that wow factor ever since that I was a kid. And art, I can definitely say back then and now, art is just something that always just kept me constantly stimulated, because anything else was really a bore or a drag to me. If I don't find it fun, then I'm not doing it. Seriously. Like, if I don't like it, then I'm not doing it. And those are like one of the main factors that really pushed me towards being an artist, because I knew I was gonna do it. I just didn't know how I was gonna get to this point, or where I was gonna start actually pursuing it. And things happen, and especially now, like, I'm taking it very seriously, and I need to have like a more organized and refined approach, especially when it starts, bringing revenue in. I have to have set times for commissions and set time for my work. But after commissions and projects done for other clientele, I just really go ham for however long I go ham on a painting for. Like, it's like a release. It's like a release for me.
So painting is cathartic. It's something where when you have just different emotions about, you like, how can I maybe concentrate that into a creative outlet? Because you can get something out of it, you can channel that, harness it, and then suddenly you have really like great work that comes out of it, or you get a lot of work out of it as well. Like, that's the fuel for it. And
Exactly.
this podcast is an example of it, of getting tired of just people talking like really ill of Baltimore and ill of different cities that, have a lot of Black people in there, and we don't get a lot of credit for the contributions we made creatively. So being able to help tell those stories, that's what gives me some of that drive to say, all right, I'm beat today. Let's make this interview happen. Let's get a good quality interview. Let's get a good conversation going. And that's what matters.
I agree.
So I got one more real question for you, and then I got those rapid fire questions for you that you're not getting waived of. I'm just letting you know you're going to get them. So just, what are some themes or topics that you return to regularly in your art, and why do you return to them? Like, I really try to hammer on talking with people who have a unique story. That's what always interests me. Some people may say, I like to talk about what it is to be a Black queer person or what have you. It's a theme that they always return to in their work. What's a topic that you always return to in your work?
That's a really good question, because I don't want to be too broad, but it definitely has a lot to do with how I grew up, because I feel like that's really a main factor that I really do want to talk about, being and growing up in a Black queer experience, for sure. And those emotions that I went through specifically, is what drives me to push the work, because my work is definitely, it's story driven. It's driven off of emotion. I'm a very emotional, very sensitive, very chaotic person. I really just like to translate that in my work in a way that really people can really grasp it from different perspectives. Because I can definitely say, when people look at my work, it can be very subjective based on, who's viewing it and what they can grab from it. So I just like to also add that factor, but mainly it's really just about the the emotions that I really just go through, while also growing through my experience, through not only through life, but actually growing up in an environment where, identity is something that always confuses people. So not only just me being myself, but I'm very masculine presenting. And sometimes when I do get a little feminine, especially around people, family, friends, it's always a confusing factor, because people see things as one way when really you can have it whichever way that you want to have it. You can be exactly who you are in any exact moment. You don't have to really conform to any stereotypes, because even then we we have stereotypes that we put on ourselves, especially in the Black community. And I feel like that's really what I really want to talk about in my work. The stereotypes that we put on ourselves in the Black community. Not only the stereotypes that are put onto us, but the ones that we also put on ourselves that limit us in a box. And that's not how we should live. And I feel like my work should represent that.
I dig that, and I think you're well on your way. I think it's one of those things where you have a mission, and all you do is you improve in your process. I think, and how you approach your work from this point to like next year is going to be better. Then the year after that is going to be better. But you have this goal and this desire to really kind of change the way maybe people think and how people receive imagery and messaging and storytelling. And it all comes out of here for you. So big shout out to you on that. So now all that good stuff that we've been talking about our processes and all of this warm and fuzzy stuff. Now it's time to get weird. So I got some questions for you, and try to answer them as quickly as you can, because it's not a timer, but we want the first answer that pops into mind. All right. So here's the first one: salty or sweet?
Salty.
Wow, your face did everything right there a second ago. It's like, what does he mean? Okay.
Yes.
What hashtag best describes you?
Hashtag. Fuck. See if I say some weird shit.
Please.
See if I say some weird shit. Don't go making no faces now.
I'm not going to. Say it.
Like I would just say, hashtag. I'm gonna say noir. However the fuck you say that shit, but definitely I feel like it's like a cool word that would describe me. But I am far from just this cool laid back person. Like I'm very chaotic. I'm very all over the place. I'm really just
chaotic noir.
Exactly.
Stop tagging everything with that. Stop tagging everything with it.
Exactly, because like I didn't know how I wanted to say it, but fuck it, chaotic noir. That's really me. Like chill, but actually when you get to meet me, like you would think that I'm really chill, but when you find out, like I'm kind of a weird person.
I mean, weird is good.
I think weird is good, but people get surprised by weird, and that surprises me. Like you never really met somebody like me that'll do this type of things or say this type of shit. I don't know. I guess there's a first for everything.
Here's the next one. Which other talent would you like to have? Like, you're a talented artist, you're, learning, and growing as an artist. So if there was like another set of skills, like another skill, which one would it be that you would like to have?
Oh my gosh, there's plenty that not only I want to have, but definitely things that I also definitely learning how to DJ and work with music, because I connect with music very well. And something that I always did when I was a kid, I wrote poetry a lot, and I still write poetry now. So if I can really learn how to like DJ and mix and make music, that's something that I would really want to learn how to do. And also get into clothing. That's something I want to get into further down the line, getting into clothing. So I would say those two things, because that just reminded me of a moment when I was also a kid. Not only like I would just draw, sketch, but like I would like sketch out my own clothes that I was wearing, trying to really just put different outfits together and things like that. Like I also said I wanted to be like a fashion designer, but art was definitely my main thing. So it's definitely something that I really want to tap into as well when I get bigger. So
that ties back to a little bit of what you were describing earlier with some of your influences. There's those overlaps of interests that they have, and I think that's the thing that's really important to. It's all brand, as it were. Like this is what my influences do. I want to do my own version of it and take it to this next logical step. And I think some of the interests that you described there, they all are aligned. Like, yeah, I'm going to work the art into this. I can see. I'm painting the covers for the packaging for these clothing, or the images on the clothing, or even let's say if we come back and do vinyl, I'm doing the jackets for those, and that's going to be really dope.
Like, exactly. I just want to have my handprint and footprint on every step of the process. Like, I just want to just add my own flair to the details and everything that I do. And especially that's something that I want to take one step at a time, because I know when I'm in it, I'm going to put everything I have into it, because it's really what I love to do. And I just want to show the side of myself to the people that support my work and love what I do, and to not only do it for the people that really love what I do, but to also reach a new level creatively, and to reach a whole and new different not artists, but a whole different community, a whole different type of community, and just to tap into a whole different industry that I really like, I really love as well.
Okay, good. Lastly, no, actually, I got one more after this. So what are you currently listening to? Because you mentioned music is a thing. What's the last song that you listened to?
Oh my gosh. I had a couple, but I'm gonna say Steve Lacy. I really like all types of music. I like a lot of rap, a lot of old school rap, hip hop. I listen to a Missy Elliott song. I'm really hot, and it's just like the beat in it just goes crazy, and it's just like crazy. Yeah. A Missy Elliott song, I'm really hot, and Steve Lacy. I don't remember quite the song, but it was from one of his new albums. I've definitely have been listening to. And that's what makes me think, because even when I'm listening to one song, I'm just thinking about how I can match up, not even thinking about, it's like different songs mashed up in my head with one particular song I'm listening to. So if I can really like DJ and really just put music together, it's like that would be so cool. So that's why Gianni and the Great, that's why they inspired me so much, because they had different ways of really expressing themselves, not only through their art but through music too. And that's something that I think is really cool, and I want to definitely do in the future.
I dig it. So that's the last question I got, because part of the the preparation process, part of the research process, feels a little stalkery at times, and I'm not good with that. But people's social media is out there, so I saw that cats are a thing. And why do you like cats was a post that I saw on maybe Twitter. So it brought me to this question: if you could be one big cat for 24 hours, which one would it be?
The Black Panther.
Okay, that was very quick. Chaotic Noir.
I know that for sure. I knew that for certain. I thought about this. You can't get me with that one. I thought about this one.
I like it. Mm-hmm. I like it.
I thought about it. I'd be a Black Panther. Yep.
I mean, I kind of want to be a cheetah, because it'll be the only time I actually be skinny. It's just like, oh shit, I'm a skinny cat now. This is great. I mean, lion's too like on the nose. Tiger, that could work. Black Panther also really works well. You know what? Jaguar. Because I like to wear like Caribbean things. I feel like that's South America. Yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna be fire. Yeah.
Yeah, Jaguars are really nice, and they're still pretty fast. I think they're really sleek, like in the way that they look.
And I like to climb trees, so this is what we do. This is what we do out here. So
exactly.
So that's pretty much all the questions that I had for you today. And I want to thank you for coming onto this podcast. And I want to invite and encourage you to tell the fine folks where to check out you, your work, website, social media, all of that good stuff. The floor is yours.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching me and Lee on our talk. We had a great and amazing talk. If you want to support me and my art, you can find me on Instagram at Griffin_.Jade. And on Twitter, you can find me _GriffinJade. And on TikTok, you can find me, I believe, Griffin_.Jade as well. So stay tuned for a lot more work. I got a lot of exciting things coming up. I have a solo show coming up as well that I'm going to be talking about very soon in October. So stay tuned for that.
So there you have it, folks. I want to thank Fort Myers' finest, Jade Griffin, for coming on to the podcast. And I'm Rob Lee, saying that there's art in and around your neck of the woods. You just got to look for it.